Mental Health Warriors. You're listening to podcast number 3. Hey there, friends, Mental Health Warriors family, anybody new who's listening. I appreciate you guys tuning in for this episode of Crafting Mental Health. All right, first things first, let's answer last week's question, which was if you could choose between never sleeping again or never eating again, which would it be and why? So here is my answer to that question. I may have answered it in, on Facebook or, in the chat. But for those of you who haven't seen it, here it is again. So my choice is I would probably never want to eat again if I had to choose between those two. I would prefer not to have to ever choose between those two because I really, really love both of them. But if I had to choose, I would probably choose to not eat again. Because I think I love my sleep more than I love food, if that's even possible. But, I was sitting there thinking about this question. I was like, okay, let me weigh out the pros and cons. Well, if I don't sleep enough if I don't sleep enough and sleep good, then that's actually going to affect my mental health a lot more than not eating. So, and I figured if I don't eat, then I'll lose weight. So that would also improve my mental health. So there's more pros in not eating than there is in not sleeping, in my opinion. So, and I know this was kind of like a weird question, but there you have it. So I love reading each of you guys' responses in the conversation. I love it. It's awesome. Thank you for participating. Like I said before, getting the conversation started. So at the end of this episode, we'll have another fun question because this topic today is going to be quite a lot and it's going to take a lot of brain power. So we're going to have another fun one at the end of this episode. But with that being said, let's dive into this week's episode and this week's topic, which is going to be bipolar and the different levels of bipolar. If you haven't heard my, this episode 2, that's where I talked about when I was diagnosed with bipolar. And I remember sitting in the doctor's office and he said, my diagnosis for you is bipolar. I'm just trying to figure out if it's going to be bipolar 1 or 2. And I looked at him and I'm like, there's more than one level. And he just kind of laughed. He's like, yeah, there's actually 3 main levels of bipolar. So we're going to dive into what those are. So first one is bipolar 1. And if you look at, TV shows, I know there's a show that my son watched that's called Shameless, and one of the characters in there has bipolar, and that is your typical bipolar 1. Now, just a disclaimer here. Anything that I'm sharing today is, based on my own research, my own experience, my own opinions. What I'm saying isn't like the end all. I encourage everybody, go do your own research, go read up, go find out, go answer your own questions. So, I'm not a mental health practitioner or any doctor of any form. So I just letting you guys know that everything that I'm talking about is based on my experience, my perspective, and, the research that I've done ever since I got diagnosed. So, but in my opinion, what we see on TV about, the characters when they have bipolar, those are typically the most severe cases, because nobody wants to hear about the minimal cases because it's not as dramatic. So in the movies and TV shows, what you'll see when people are have bipolar, it's typically bipolar 1. So what is bipolar 1? So bipolar 1, when it has, basically bipolar in general is a mood disorder. So it basically, your mood swings from one end to the other end, like from one extreme to the next. And with bipolar 1, basically your manic episodes, which is your extremely high-spirited or high episodes, for a bipolar 1 person, those can be really extreme, and it can even go as far as the person can go into psychosis, where they can have a psychotic break, and it can be really bad. And from what I've heard, people with bipolar 1, when they do go into these manic episodes, they have typically they'll have memory loss or gaps in time where they don't remember what happened, or they kind of wake up somewhere and they don't know how they got there. It can get pretty bad. And it's because one of the things during this manic episode is the decreased need of sleep. They can go days without sleeping because they don't need it, because their mind is so busy constantly. You're talking super fast. You have all these thoughts, and you don't sleep. You can't sleep. You have too much energy. And so therefore, by the time, like, if a week has gone by without barely sleeping, nobody can survive that. So nobody can mentally be okay after not sleeping for about a whole week. You're going to have some severe issues. So, and that is what, with bipolar 1, that's the hardest part is the manic episodes. And, so then on the flip side of that, normally when someone comes out of a manic episode, they typically go into a depressive episode. And, I think most people know what depression looks like, but I'm still going to cover those symptoms here in a minute. Then, for bipolar 2 people, you have what's called hypomanic, which is a heightened, you have more energy. You have this feeling of grandiosity where, everything feels great. You have so much more confidence. You feeling on top of the world. But there are also the same symptoms that falls under the manic episodes of, like, increased risky behaviors, like speeding or reckless spending money, or hypersexuality, where you will just want to go have sex with whomever is available, basically. And the other thing is there's you increased activity, so you're working on a lot of projects at the same time, and you're restless. You're so your mind's just all over the place. And for bipolar 2, when you have your hypermanic episodes, those severe high is not as severe. So you feel like you have a lot more energy. You feel like you're getting a lot more stuff done. And for me, when I had my hypomanic episodes, I just felt like, man, I don't have depression. I feel great. I'm getting so much stuff done. I got so much energy. I can, I have all these grand ideas. I'm going to start this business. I'm going to start this project. Needless to say, I have a lot of half-empty or half-completed projects. Yes. So for anybody who's been at my house, you'll probably see a lot of those half-finished projects, because normally I flip from from the hypomanic to my depression stage before I'm done with the project. So, but then again, once you come out of those hypomanic episodes or the manic episodes, you go into the severe depression. And the depression symptoms, for those of you who don't know what those symptoms are, it's increased sadness or despair or loss of interest in activities that you normally would enjoy. The feeling of you're worthless. You're guilty that you're being a burden on your family. You're extremely tired. You just want to kind of roll up in a ball and just, lay on the couch and not do anything. You either want to, you struggle to sleep as well, but you can also sleep too much. You might want to eat more, or you might even want to eat less. So, and you just like your overall movement has slowed down, and then it's difficult for you to concentrate. And then in some cases, there are the feelings of wanting to end it all, thoughts of suicide. There's a thing called suicide ideation, where it's not that you're wanting to kill yourself or wanting to commit suicide. It's more just the thoughts of doing it. And it's almost like you can't help these thoughts. They just come into your head. And a lot of times people don't talk about that because they feel embarrassed. And that wasn't my case. I would have these thoughts come into my head. And first of all, I would think like, what in the world am I thinking? Why am I thinking this? I don't want to end my life. But these thoughts just keep coming into your brain, and it's like nonstop in some instance. And then I feel bad. I don't want to share with anybody that I have these thoughts because I don't want people to think I'm crazy, or I don't want people to lock me up in a mental hospital because I'm going to hurt myself, because that's not what it is. It's just I'm keep having these thoughts. And so that's why a lot of times people get misdiagnosed, because they are not talking about all the symptoms they're having because they're embarrassed. And that was in my case, how it is. Now that I've been diagnosed, I actually, when I saw my doctor, I said, you know what, I'm going to just be honest. And, and my doctor also told me, unless I feel like you're actually going to hurt yourself or hurt someone, that's the only time I will have you, committed. Otherwise, what you share with me, this is a safe place to share. And so therefore now I can tell my doctor exactly what I'm thinking, when I'm thinking it, and we can actually lay it out and see okay, why am I thinking this? And then challenge those thoughts and ask, why am I thinking it? What triggered the thoughts? And try and figure out how to stop the thoughts from even happening, if that's possible. But also just to, remind myself that those are just thoughts. It's not, I don't have to be scared of it. And obviously I'm not going to act on it. So that was just, kind of digressed there for a little bit. But yes, just wanted to touch on that. And then for the third version of bipolar is, and I hope I pronounced it right. I actually had to look up how to pronounce it. It is cyclothymic. And what that means is you have these highs and lows. They're not as severe as bipolar 1 and 2, but you do have them, and they're more frequent. The changes between the highs and lows are more frequent. So for bipolar 1, when they have a manic episode, the episode normally lasts for more than a week. The manic episode lasts for 1 week or more than a week. And sometimes the person can also be, irritable during their manic stages. And then when they have the depressive stage, for a person to be classified as bipolar 1, they have to have the manic stage for more than a week and a depressive stage for more than 2 weeks. For somebody who has bipolar 2, their hypermanic stage will last for about 4 days, only 4 days. Then their depressive stage also needs to last for longer than 2 weeks. And to my understanding is, to be diagnosed with depression in general, you need to have this feeling of sad and dread and worthlessness and all of that. You have to have those feelings for longer than 2 weeks for actually to be considered as depression, because everybody feels happy and sad. Everybody has this natural up and downs, but with bipolar, it's more severe and it stays longer, and it's more than the normal. So, excuse me. So that is the a high level of what bipolar 1 and 2 and cyclothymic bipolar or cyclothymic disorder is. And typically people with bipolar also gets diagnosed with general anxiety. Some cases there's substance abuse disorders, and people can be diagnosed with multiple other things and bipolar as well. So now the next thing that I want to talk about is the different treatments, or the treatment that's most commonly given to people with bipolar. So in general, your treatments for bipolar is to be on medication. So it's medication and also talk therapy or psychotherapy, if you will. So, so the common treatment for bipolar 1, 2, or cyclothemic disorder is medication. That's your number one thing. And then talk therapy or psychotherapy will help most people. In my case, once the medication kind of, evened me out, I'm pretty stable. I would say I haven't had an episode in quite a while. Some of the medications that I'm on is also a mood stabilizer. As in the movies, a lot of you people would know that bipolar people are prescribed lithium. Typically, as far as I know, lithium is only being given to bipolar 1 patients. And, as with any medication, there's always side effects. One of my side effects of the medications that I'm on is I have a constant ringing in my ear, and it kind of gets annoying after a while. But the side effects outweigh, or the good the medication is doing outweighs the side effects, if you will. I mean, the most common side effect of all these medications is brain fog. You don't remember anything. So, I've always been a list maker, but now even more so, I constantly write things down to remember things. And I used to be good at remembering just about anything except names. Don't remember names, never have. But now there's even moments where I don't even remember having conversations with people. And I hate that because, I used to be really good at remembering things. So I do a lot of writing down to help me remember. So for most people with bipolar, the treatments can be different for each person because each person experience it's different. Each person's symptoms are different. So therefore their medication cocktails, what they call it, your cocktail is going to be different. Excuse me. And there are some more severe treatments than just medication. There's a treatment called ECT, which is electroconvulsive therapy, or electroconvulsive therapy, excuse me. So ECT, electroconvulsive therapy. A lot of times it's basically where they put you to sleep and then they do electric shocks on your brain. So you don't feel anything because you're asleep, but it shocks your brain. And those treatments are normally used to help people with bipolar 1 who is stuck in a manic phase to try and get out of it. And again, this is just the research that I've done, the things that I've seen, experienced. Obviously, I've never had ECT. I've never needed it. Thank goodness for that. Thank God for that, because, it sounds horrible kind of being in that, manic stage and you can't get out. For me, my bipolar is, I would say, on the mild version of bipolar, and my medication is keeping me calm or keeping me stable. But yes, as with most diseases, it will progress and it can get worse over time if I don't take care of it or don't take my medication. As with anything, if you're not going to take your medication, it's going to get worse. There's the question, can you have bipolar and not be on medication? There are people out there who have tried it and have found ways to make their symptoms less severe with natural, like changing their diets or taking herbs or doing more natural forms. But each person is different. So yes, you can try it, but I would say if you try doing it without being on medication. Make sure you have a support system around you like make sure your doctor is aware, your friends are aware, because sometimes you don't even realize that you're going into an episode until it's almost too late. So if your friends are close, your support system is close, yes, if you want to try it, try it. But make sure you have your support system around you. And, as with most mental illnesses or mental health disorders, if you're on medication, there's no shame in that. Medication makes you feel better, and, it will make you feel better. Just like if you have not the flu, there's not really medication for that. But if you have a heart problem, you take medication for that to keep your heart beating. The other day, I explained this to someone to explain to them, how I see bipolar. When you have cancer, the cancer is trying to kill you. When you have a heart disease, then your heart basically is trying to kill you. When you have diabetes, your pancreas not, creating enough insulin, or creating too much insulin is trying to kill you. And in my opinion, when you have bipolar, your brain's trying to kill you. So you got to do what you need to do in order to, keep your body from self-destructing. So that's why I'm an advocate for, medication. Like if you're on medication, take it. It makes you feel better. I can firsthand say that, my mental health medication is definitely making me feel better. I'm a lot calmer. I'm a lot nicer to be around. You can ask my husband. He was a blessing when God helped me find him. He definitely, he's been through the ringer with me, and I greatly appreciate what he has done for me. He's definitely been a godsend. And so yeah, that is in a nutshell the different levels of bipolar. I think, in the future episode, I'm probably going to delve more deeply into each level of bipolar, and just to give some more information and some more input, and just answer possible questions that people might have. So with that, if you have any questions about any form of bipolar or any form of mental health issues, let me know. I like to do research on these things, and I will come back here and give you guys the information that I found. So yeah, if you have any questions or you want to just chat with me, you can find me on Facebook. I have a group called Crafting Mental Health Podcast. So you just come join the group and come join the conversation there. I also have a email address, craftingmentalhealthpodcast@gmail.com. And then, you can always, if for those of you who have my phone number, text me, call me. I would love to get together and, just have conversations about this, and, make you feel like you're not alone going through whatever, issues you're going through, because, I've been through a lot, and I know that, having that someone to talk to that understands what you're going through means the world. And, so yeah, that like I said, that was just I almost want to say it was a high level of what different bipolar levels are. I might in the future have more in-depth podcast about it. Again, like the purpose of this podcast is to educate and to have the conversation started so that you will understand more of what people are going through. I thought about it the other day that, I wanted my husband to do more research on bipolar when I was first diagnosed. And then I thought to myself later on that it's probably hard for him to do the research simply because he doesn't know what he's looking for. He doesn't know what I'm experiencing. So what is he going to research on? Because when I was first diagnosed, I was looking into, is what I'm feeling now part of bipolar, or is this just normal? It was this constant asking questions and looking things up. And for, like I said, for my husband, he probably has no idea even where to start. So, and I realized, like, in order for him to understand what it is that I'm going through, I have to explain it to him, and I have to to teach him and educate him. And this is the reason for the podcast, is so that I can help educate other people, so that if you have someone in your life that's dealing with some type of mental illness or mental struggle, that you can see it from their perspective and maybe understand a little bit more of what it is that they're going through. And then also knowing that there's people out there who's understanding what you're going through with what your mental health issue is, or what you're struggling with. And in this way we can, grab hands and fight this fight together and walk through life together. And it makes life a little bit easier just having someone to walk with. All right, so we're at the end of this podcast and we're at the fun one. Let's have this week's question. So for this week's question, if you could travel to any time in the past or in the future, so any era, which one would you choose and why? This is going to be a fun one. I already have my answer. I know what I'm going to say. So I'm excited to hear you guys' answers and your thoughts. And I'm excited to connect with you guys. And as always, remember, this too shall pass. So seize the moment. The good ones, savor those. And remember, the bad times or the bad moments is just a moment and it will pass. So if you need to reach out, if you have a friend, or if you need a friend to talk to, please reach out. Call me, text me, send me a message. And, guys, if you know anyone that you think that could benefit from this podcast, please share with them. I would love for more people to hear the podcast and for more people to get the conversation started and help break the stigma of mental health. And so we can love on each other and, fight the fight with each other. And guys, keep fighting, keep taking medication, and I will talk to you on the next one. Bye.